Good morning and welcome to World News here on TVP World. I'm Diana Skaya. The next ruling coalition in the Czech Republic's parliament is taking shape as three parties announced today that they will sign a cooperation agreement on November 3rd. Prospective Prime Minister Andrej Babiš's ANO party, which won the recent parliamentary elections, is joining forces with two far-right parties already facing controversy. We now go live to our correspondent in Prague, Andrej Sweeney. Andrew, good morning. So what can you tell us about the makeup of this new ruling coalition?
Well, the new ruling coalition is made up of three parties. Andrej Babiš's ANO party, a populist movement, and two far-right parties, Freedom and Democracy, SPD. It's your classic anti-EU, pro-Russia party, and the insurgent in Czech politics now, the motorists, who have campaigned heavily on anti-green initiatives. Now, they will sign an agreement next Monday, November 3rd. However, that doesn't mean the Czech Republic will have a new government by then. That's because each new ministerial appointee has to be approved by the president, Petr Pavel. One of those nominees, Filip Turek of the motorists, has caused considerable controversy here over his litany of social media posts covering everything from sexism, racism, homophobia, and even wearing Nazi paraphernalia. So there's still very much to play in Czech politics. But what does this mean for the wider region? Well, a senior ANO official reported this morning that Czech defense spending is not likely to be more than 2% under the new government. That is going to come as very unwelcome news for United States President Donald Trump and the Czech Republic's NATO allies. But remember, this is just the beginning of this process. The government is still in play, and indeed, there's much still into play for in Czech politics. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you so much, Andrej Sweeney, coming to us live from Prague. According to the Polish Armed Forces Operational Command, two Polish fighter jets were scrambled on Tuesday after a Russian military plane was detected over the Baltic Sea. Now, Polish authorities say that the aircraft was conducting a reconnaissance mission in international airspace without a filed flight plan and with its transponder switched off.
On October 28, 2025, a pair of MiG-29 fighter jets on duty with the Polish Air Force successfully intercepted, visually identified and escorted a Russian Federation aircraft flying over the Baltic Sea out of the area of responsibility. The Polish fighter jets intercepted a Russian aircraft conducting a reconnaissance mission in international airspace without a flight plan and with its transponder turned off. The aircraft did not violate Polish airspace.
The Romanian Ministry of Defense announced that the United States is going to pull back some of its troops stationed in Romania. Now, according to the ministry, Romania and other NATO allies were informed about the decision by the U.S. administration. The announced reduction also pertains to soldiers who were to be stationed at Romania's crucial Mihail Cogălniteanu Air Base, known for a significant U.S. military presence of over 1,400 troops. The Romanian Ministry of Defense further noted that the decision was expected given the changing priorities of the Trump administration. It also said that some 1,000 American soldiers will remain on the ground in Romania. Ihor Brusilo, the Deputy Chief of Staff in the Office of the Ukrainian President, told World News Tonight that Poland and Ukraine are destined to have good relations.
We are destined to have good relations. We are close neighbors, we are next door countries, and we are grateful to the Polish people from the very beginning, what they have done for Ukraine and continue to do. And this relation should be based on a mutually respectful attitude to our history, to our culture, to our countries, and we are open in our relations with the Polish people and the Polish government and the Polish president, and we would like to have the same attitude from them. And I believe, my personal conviction is that the level of our relations is the best.
Ukraine has marked the first combat deployment of its domestically produced Flamingo and Ruta long-range missiles. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky confirmed the reports. However, he didn't elaborate where or when the missiles were used. Now, while Zelensky praised the Flamingo missile as the most successful in Ukraine's domestic arsenal, its manufacturer, a company called Firepoint, is mired in controversy. Ukraine's National Anti-Corruption Bureau has been investigating the company over suspicion that it inflated component values or the number of drones it delivers to the army. Firepoint acknowledged that the investigation is underway, but denied all accusations and downplayed its significance. On Tuesday, President Zelensky met with Dutch Foreign Minister David Van Wiel in Kyiv. Zelensky said Ukrainian and European officials are set to meet at the end of the week to discuss a ceasefire plan.
Everyone understands that after a ceasefire, with an understanding of security guarantees, it will be very difficult for Russia to renew its aggression if there are strong security guarantees. That's why this plan is focused on this. I think our advisors are going to meet within the next few days. We preliminarily agreed for Friday, Saturday. They're going to discuss the details of this plan.
We're very much in favor now of finding a way of using the Russian frozen assets in order to have more financial aid and stability, or in the field of justice. Indeed, as you say, we are more than happy to host the advanced phases of the tribunal on aggression against Russia. We want to make sure that you know that the Netherlands is your partner.
Belarus will begin deploying Russia's Oreshnik missile system in December, according to Russian state-run media agency TASS. Now, Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko claims the deployment is a response to what he calls an increasing provocation from the West. The Oreshnik missiles were featured in this year's joint Russian-Belarusian Zapad 2025 military drills. Now, the Oreshnik is Russia's newest hypersonic ballistic missile designed to carry nuclear weapons. Moscow first used the weapon against Ukraine, launching it without a nuclear warhead at a former Soviet-era missile factory in Dnipro. Russia's President Vladimir Putin warned that the missile could be used against NATO countries supporting Ukraine's long-range strikes inside Russia. Staying on Russia, one of Russia's largest oil producers, Lukoil, has revealed it plans to sell its overseas assets in the wake of Washington's targeted sanctions on the company. The Moscow-based energy giant, which operates 2 refineries across Central and Eastern Europe, says its decision was forced by what it called restrictive measures by some states. Jakub Kapiszewski reports.
This is the Bulgarian refinery in Burgas, near the coast of the Black Sea. It's owned by Lukoil, and is probably going on sale soon. According to a press release posted on the Russian company's website, Lukoil wants to sell its international holdings.
Lukoil informs that owing to introduction of restrictive measures against the company and its subsidiaries by some states, the company announces its intention to sell its international assets. The consideration of bids from potential purchasers has been started.
But it's not going to be easy. As a first step, the Bulgarian government has to put the Burgas refinery in state trusteeship, essentially taking over control but not ownership of the facility. This is how the German government handled Rosneft's facility in Schwedt near the Polish border. And now Schwedt can still supply the German market because Berlin on Monday secured a 1-year exemption from last week's sanctions, which were also slapped on Rosneft.
The German government is in better position because the refinery Schwedt, which is owned by Rosneft, is under the control of the government. So basically, Bulgaria is late as always.
Once it's done, a buyer needs to be found, one which all the interested parties will say yes to, the parties being the Bulgarian government, the U.S. government, and Lukoil itself. So who could be the buyer? In the past, Hungarian oil company MOL and its Azeri counterpart Sokar expressed interest in the refinery in Burgas, but they both have the same problem. They do business with Lukoil, which has been slapped with sanctions. This leaves another contender, Kazakh company Kazmunaygas.
But with Kazmunaygas, it's interesting because the main crude oil supplier for Bulgaria right now is Kazakhstan. So there's a logic in the supply chain to be Kazakh investor.
In the end, however, Nikolov thinks Bulgarians will need to find a Western buyer, since Russia still holds too much sway in Central Asia. As such, Krasnoyarsk could be a no-go for the Americans. And given how much work is still to be done, it's hard to see this sale going through this year.
A private company operating in the Baltic states has been secretly refueling Russia's shadow fleet vessels. That's according to an investigation carried out by journalists from the Lithuanian public broadcaster LRT. Now, the company scrutinized by the LRT journalists, the Fast Bunkering Network, specializes in refueling ships at sea and operates in Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. Now, it was to deliver fuel to more than 150 tankers en route or departing from Russian ports. None of the ships were formally subject to sanctions at the time of refueling, but some of them were later added to sanctions lists. The LRT journalists emphasized that by supplying the vessels with fuel, the private company was partially responsible for financing Russia's war in Ukraine. On Tuesday evening, leaders of the main Dutch parties faced off in a television debate ahead of Wednesday's parliamentary elections. Frans Timmermans of the Green Left Labour Party accused far-right leader Geert Wilders of creating, quote, hate factories that have paralyzed Dutch society. Wilders fired back, saying that leadership means understanding people's struggles, from safety concerns to the rising cost of living.
I think what we've seen over the past 2 years is that the chaotic politics we've seen isn't working. It's held us hostage, and I think we need to turn this dark page in Dutch politics. For me, good leadership means working on a new political culture. I'm trying to work on that myself. It means not shouting, but listening and achieving results. It means working together, not arguing.
Tomorrow, voters have the unique opportunity to finally bring the Wilders era to a complete end. With Wilders, we've seen that society has stalled, that hate is dominant. He has created hate factories that have paralyzed Dutch society. Tomorrow we have the chance to put an end to that, to let hope become the dominant feeling again, and to work together.
That's not how you gain trust. You know, my party is proud that we sense and express the feelings of millions of people. That's also part of leadership, that you also feel the pain of the people, that you feel that they have trouble paying for groceries, that you feel that they are afraid that their daughter or wife will not come home safely in the evening.
A new international ranking from the Tax Foundation, a US-based think tank, has ranked Poland fourth from the bottom in tax competitiveness. Now, what could be the reasons behind this? Let's take a closer look.
Poland's tax system has been ranked as one of the least competitive among member states of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or OECD, a club of mostly wealthy advanced economies. That's according to the latest annual report released by the Tax Foundation, a free market think tank based in the United States. Only Colombia, Italy, and France rank lower. While Poland's tax rates are not among the highest in the OECD, there is another metric where the country lags behind: tax neutrality. A neutral tax system is one that doesn't offer any one kind of taxpayer, such as corporations or wealthy individuals, greater privileges or tax breaks compared to the others. In Poland, tax privileges are more heavily geared toward corporations, particularly foreign ones.
We see that a lot of foreign companies don't pay such high taxes as the Polish companies.
Then there's the value-added tax, or VAT. Not only is it one of the highest in Europe, it's also very complex, applying only to a narrow range of goods and services.
VAT tax in Poland is very, very complicated, and it didn't change for years. And we all know in Poland that this system is very complicated.
Simply keeping tax rates low is not enough to ensure a competitive tax system.
So that's not a simple thing for the government to just decrease the taxation rates.
Poland's low ranking stands in stark contrast to some of its neighbors, particularly the Baltic states. Estonia and Latvia top the charts in tax competitiveness.
placing first and second in the ranking, with Lithuania rounding out the top 5. Estonia, which topped the ranking for the 12th year in a row, was singled out for its flat income tax and positive features of its corporate and property tax codes. When it comes to taxes, simply keeping them low isn't enough to ensure the best outcomes for a country's economy. Maciej Wilovski for TVP World.
And with that, we end this edition of World News here on TVP World. I'm Diana Scott. Thanks for watching and stay with us for more news and updates.